Good evening, everybody. As you know, it is time for Clock It with AD Bryant. I have to play a little music. Yeah, to get us started tonight. I tell you, tonight is going to be a great night. As I always say, it's a great night. I want you to, in this segment, the only way you will be able to comment, and I see them, is if you are on YouTube. So go to YouTube at AD Bryant 34, at AD Bryant 34, so I can see your comments that you make. And if you have a question, you can do it then. Tonight's subject, it is an interesting one. It is a great one. It's gender equity. You all know uh, gender equity is important, but we're going to talk a little bit about it today. Before I go into detail, let's look at all the social media. Please follow me, subscribe on all of the social media outlets. You will see them scrolling at the bottom. So don't say you don't know because it's at the bottom. I'll just keep it up for a few minutes. But I'm gonna bring in somebody that I think I know a little bit about. This young lady, she has I've known her for over 30 years. Not only do I know her, when I used to coach basketball, this young lady used to come in my gym and literally watch me coach and then go into my office and then drop the plays when she was 10 to 12 years old. And it was crazy to me because I didn't understand. But I got to tell you a quick story. But before I tell you this story, I'm going to bring her in. Please help me bring in and welcome Miss Kayla Bryant Alexander. Hey, Miss Coach K.
Hey, AD.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So I will tell you, for most people who know Kayla Bryant Alexander, her Bryant name is not by accident. That is my daughter. She's the assistant coach at University of Alabama at Birmingham, UAB, women's basketball. But I have to tell a story, kind of embarrass her. I got to do that. Uh,
Oh,
when, when she was when she was born, literally leaving the hospital, I took her from the hospital to the gym where I was coaching, held her up in the center court. Yeah, kind of like that Simba stuff. Held her up at half court and said, "This will be your life." Now, as time moves on, God has made it where she actually is coaching basketball and playing basketball. So I was excited about that. So, Kayla, welcome. Welcome to Clock It with AD Bryant. Yeah, clock that. Kayla, let me tell you the structure of this show. This show is 15 minutes. We have 15 minutes to discuss whatever we want to discuss. And today is about gender equity. That clock will start here shortly. And when that clock is over, game is over. So no more. I may cut you off, but we got 15 minutes. Are you ready?
yes, I'm ready.
All right, clock it. All right, Ms. Kayla, we talk about gender equity. You know what? It's so important, in everything that we do, that gender equity is at the first and foremost part of what we do. So the first question I'm going to ask you, I've been going to games. I even went to a game tonight. Went to watch uh, a junior college team play, and I noticed in the women's game there are men referees. So tell me, how does that play in your coach's psyche when you guys are about to play in the game and you have men officiating a women's sport?
Well, I think every year, when we do scrimmages in the beginning of the year, inter squad scrimmages, we always have officials come and officiate our scrimmages, and
Mhm.
afterwards we have them answer. They'll answer questions any of our girls have or new rules. And one thing they always end with is we need more female officials,
Hmm.
and I think it's the reason why there's so many male officiating women's game is because there's not enough females willing to go in that field. and
Mm.
they're
Fuck.
always recruiting females to women to officiate. And I know officiating is not a glamorous role, but a lot of times it's basketball players that have played the sport who
Mhm.
are the ones going into it just to stay around the game. And I think it's a great way to stay around the game without, if you're not willing to coach or if you don't want to go play overseas, it still allows you to be a part of the game, and it's a need, especially for women in that field.
You know, I hear you, and you know, hearing the shortage of women in officiating. So
Mhm,
as I look at the WNBA,
mhm,
I see again, you see women, but you see a lot of men. But what I am seeing too is in the NBA,
yeah,
there are women that are really coming into that game to officiate. But we really need to. I think we need to do more of spotlighting
mhm,
the women officials
yeah,
because there are some good ones. I was at one of your games and I saw a young lady who was officiating. Then I saw her at one of the games at Alabama A&M,
yeah,
and I said, you know, I told her I thought she was good, but she did too talk about there's not a lot of
mhm,
people to officiate. So um one of the questions that came in or statements, I agree, great way to stay around the game for the women that previously played the sport,
yeah,
and that was from Ty.
mhm,
Um, I you know, I just think in order to really promote it, that is another great way to stay
yeah,
around.
yeah.
All right, so Kayla, we talk about the officiating, but should women referee men's games?
I don't see why not. I think women need to be in all avenues of whatever sport. And I think there's a few reasons: diversity of perspectives,
Mhm,
role model representation. So women, young females, can see that women
mhm.
um, can go out of just societal norms and be different. And I think that representation is a huge aspect in all things. And I think I don't see why women can't referee men's sport or even coach in men's sports. And I think a lot of women, as you see today, have challenged those norms and break barriers. So yeah.
You know what? That leads into my next question is about coaching. Should women coach men's sports? So when we talk about that, though, Caleb,
Mhm.
there's a this big disparity to that. So why do you think it's fine for a woman to actually coach, let's say football?
Mhm.
Football. So we have a bunch of young men playing football, and you think it's okay for a woman to actually coach football?
Yeah, I think they can serve as strong role models, encouraging more women to pursue coaching careers in all sports. It shows younger females that there are opportunities beyond just a female sport.
Mhm.
Um, and it's also about leadership and like perspective. I think men can learn a lot from females, and they give them a different perspective, a different type of leadership. Um, and like I said, breaking barriers.
Mhm.
It challenges societal norms, and um, traditionally, which are women are excluded from certain roles, but they can inspire. Why can't women inspire both men and women? Um,
You're right.
yeah.
So I I I have to say, and I appreciate you, Bulldog Ty,
Mhm.
chiming in. It's great points. Um, one of the things that I want to say, Kayla, I've coached. I've been an administrator. This is literally my 20th year as an athletic administrator. And as I really got into administration,
Yeah.
you were very instrumental in my thought processes.
Mhm.
You told me I forgot what institution I was at, but you asked me. Yeah, you were actually playing. Actually, you we were at. I was the AD at the school. You were playing at Eureka College in Illinois,
Mhm.
and you said to me, "Dad, why don't the cheerleaders cheer for the women's team?" And I didn't think anything at that time, and then you said, "And why isn't the band here? Why how come the men get it and we don't?" And
Mhm.
so that really changed how I started looking at every situation. And why did you think that that was so important that the cheerleaders actually cheer for the women and not only the men?
Well, it's still crazy to me, like, men, women were playing the exact same sport, may look a little different, as far as, the skill set. We still I personally biased, but women play more fundamental team basketball, which is more fun to watch if you're a
Right,
basketball
right.
junkie, but, I just think the opportunity has to be I know it's not always going to be, uh I don't wanna say fair, it's not gonna always equal the same amount, but it has to be equitable, and, cheerleaders cheering men's sport, what why is that not the same for women's sport? It's we're playing the exact same sport, and, it also gives cheerleaders and bands another opportunity to, um, do their talent as well,
Mhm.
so, that's really important as far as being equitable is having things like that. It's not always going to be equal, but things have to be equitable.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. You have you stated a while ago that and you were very adamant at that time, and so when you told me that, it really made me start looking at every situation.
Mhm,
So, if we're talking, let's talk about cheerleaders in general.
mhm,
So, typically, you have female cheerleaders, and now we see men cheerleaders. Do you think the men should only cheer for the women and the women only the men?
no,
Why not?
because divides. It's like we're if we're trying to be inclusive and including everyone, why men and women cheerleaders, if they're one team, then they're one team cheering both sports.
Mhm.
Inclusivity.
Yeah. So, I agree. I'm
Yeah.
just posing some questions, right?
Yeah.
So, I also look at leadership.
Mhm.
So, leadership.
Yeah.
Kayla,
Yeah.
should we have female leaders as, let's just say ADs, presidents or president?
Yeah.
So, just tell me your thoughts on actually women in leadership as a whole.
Yeah. Um, leadership, I feel like is not based on male, female. Um, but I do think there is a platform where we need female leaders. Um, like I said, they give a different perspective, a different type of motivation. They can inspire, they can empower. Like it just gives a different viewpoint on um, a way women lead compared to a male. And I think that's really, really important as young women, as we're aspiring to be whatever we want to be. We have to see it first, you know.
Mm,
Um,
clock it.
and when we see it, we can start to believe it and we can start to dream it. And so that's why it's so important for females, women to be in those roles.
So so if you don't see it, then it's hard to imagine being it?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay. So I think, I have taught you, I think,
Mhm.
that, your mother have taught you that you can be whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
And even though we don't see it,
Yeah.
I think the way we're brought up, it doesn't matter if I see it, if I don't. If I say I want to do it, I should be able to do it. And I'm saying that to you. There are a couple more comments. I'm gonna just show you real quick. They said times have changed for the area of cheerleaders.
No, no.
And so Miss Erica Fox said, wish they would cheer and not focus on dancing. So, again, evolving.
Yeah.
And
I think with that's a good point. If you align your cheerleading squad or pep band into your marketing game day experience, that can enhance the collaboration between both of them as far as like cheering and the elements of the game day experience that you're trying to provide for the crowd as well. So I don't know if that's an area where can be improved, but I don't know how often the cheer squad collaborates with your marketing or your game day operations team, but
so I do think I think that is important. So when we look at the cheer and we're focusing on cheer a little bit just because we feel that cheer, it doesn't matter if it's male or female, right? Is that what I heard from you?
Yeah.
And then their whole objective is to what? Increase fan is first to use inspire, inspire, help the team win and do whatever they can. I think that I think we still need to do a better job at really inspiring. Okay, Kayla, I do have we got about a minute and 35 seconds left. For you, as a woman in athletics, do you see a big change in the leadership qualities that you need to lead a team? And that's a team, whether it's athletics, whatever your team is.
Do I see can you say that again?
Yeah. Do you see the women leaders changing the game? Let's say that. Do you see women leaders changing the game?
Yeah, I think within the last year, maybe 2 years, women leaders have been the focal point of the media, what we see on social media, and it has played a pivotal role in people being excited and happy about women's sports. And it's just really, really cool to see as where I've come from as a little girl to where women's sports is now. Before I used to watch NBA, I used to watch men's basketball. I don't watch anything but women's sports. And I know I'm a female, but I've heard like my husband, he's in there talking to his friends about, oh, did you see Angel Reese watching the WNBA? Like that is, to me, is like unheard of, hearing my husband talking about the WNBA. And so I just think it has brought, within the last, like I said, a year or so, it's just brought so much attention to the sport, and it's really, really necessary.
You're right. And so, Kayla, the clock just went off, right?
Yeah.
So, but you know what? I'm going to give you a couple minutes because I got to ask a couple more questions.
Yeah.
And that is this overtime. This is overtime. It's sponsored by Humble Bully.
Nice.
I ain't no bully, but don't push me. That's their motto, Humble Bully. And you see the website at the bottom, Humble Bully brand. But Kayla, you just talked about women's basketball.
Yeah.
And the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, and
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese. I was going to say Alicia Wilson. That's somebody who plays for Alabama A&M, by the way.
I know her
too. But tell me, how have they really changed the focus on women's sport?
Well, Caitlin Clark, incredible player, and I think what she's done on the court, we haven't seen in the women's game in a long time. And also too, I think with the transfer portal, it has changed college athletics in general, and so you're seeing high profile women's players go and be transfer and be successful. And I think Angel Reese, just her approach to the game has brought, I don't want to say negative, but her approach, she's a dog, and that has kind of brought negative conversation around it. But as women, that's just because we're women doesn't mean we can't be dogs, we can't trash talk, we can't do all that. And
Right.
I
Right.
think she really opened that platform to allow just her to be her. And so she's really has empowered young women, as well as Caitlin Clark. And there's many female athletes that don't get the recognition for what they've done to put women's sports on the map. But those two kind of have been the focal point in that conversation. So
Yeah. And Bulldog Tower, I have to agree with you. I have to agree
yeah.
because you know what? They know how to cut it to the core. But you know, Kayla, Brian Alexander, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you for
Yeah.
coming on this show. You know, this is
Right.
a
I hope you didn't hear your grandkids screaming in the
of
back.
course. I heard them, and you know what? But it's their papa's show, so it's
Yeah.
okay. And I know that you're teaching your children, your daughter, the same things that you were taught. And I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
You have done a great job. Your dad is fully proud of you, and I will
Thank you.
always be proud. But remember, it's just a game.
Yeah.
Be humble, stay humble, but more importantly, be your best. Until next time, God bless and peace.
Yeah.